Welcome back, lords and ladies. Yesterday, we announced the winners of the Rookie Split and Coach of the Split Awards. You can check out the full story on lolesports.com. And earlier, Dash got a chance to speak with the winners.
Thank you, guys. I'm here with Contracts and Reaper. Robin, as well, is going to help us out with some translations. But the recipients of our Rookie of the Split Award and Coach of the Split Award, both from the same organization. Some big achievements out of the two of you so far this split. Still room to go here in the playoffs. Got a couple questions for the both of you. I'm going to start with you here, Contracts. Rookie Split, you've done it. You've received the award, the affirmation that you are the best rookie here. Give me the thoughts on the split overall and where you expect to go as a player moving forward.
In the beginning of the split, I was super stoked to, just playing the LCS for the first time. And as the split has gone through, I've had a lot of mixed feelings throughout it. I've had really high highs and really low lows. I've been really inconsistent throughout the split. I've been looking to work on that as a player. And coming into playoffs today, I just want to try my best, give the fans a good performance, give my team a good performance, and perform at a level that I want to be at. And as far as I can go, I'm not really too sure. I'm just taking it game by game, and hopefully I can be one of the best.
In the middle of your journey right now, but let's talk about that journey so far on a team that has quite a legacy here in the North American LCS. I mean, C9, one of the top 3 teams kind of across the split since their inception, one of the larger fan bases, and you yourself have to come in here as a rookie and fill one of the original members' shoes. That's a big legacy to uphold. So talk to me about that journey and what it's like to, in your first outset in the professional scene, be joining an organization like this.
I'm super grateful for Cloud9 throughout the whole split. They've supported me throughout the ups and downs of the split, ups and downs from my play in general. And I had really high expectations going into the split from the community, from my teams, and I'm just going to work on being good enough to meet those expectations.
Reaper, on to you and the coaching award. Recently and throughout the growth and evolution of the competitive scene here in League of Legends, there's been lots of discussion around what is the proper style of coaching and or practice, as a lot of these teams don't have time to work on every aspect of the game. So I was wondering if we could get some insight from you, Reaper, on your approach to coaching as a general philosophy and League of Legends in the pro scene as a whole.
그 경험에 좀 추가적으로 질문을 하자면은 코칭의 철학에 대해서 이제 논란이 굉장히 많지 않습니까? 리그 오브 레전드를 코칭할 때 어떤 방식이 좋다, 이 방식이 좋다. 포괄적으로 할 때 이 면은 닿지 못하고 이 면은 닿을 수 있는데 모든 면을 커버하지 못하는데 코칭을 어떻게 하는 방식이 가장 효율적이냐, 이렇게 질문이 굉장히 많이 나오고 있는데 레포드 코치님 생각에는 어떤 방식으로 코칭하는 게 가장 좋으신 것 같은지.
우선 코칭하는 방식은 아무래도 그 팀의 구성원들에 따라서 많이 갈리게 될 것 같은데요. 어찌됐건 코치라는 직업 자체가 그 팀의 구성원들을 잘 이해를 하고 구성원들에 맞는 그런 연습 방식이나 코칭 스타일을 구사해야 되기 때문에 구성원들을 잘 이해하고 그리고 그들에게 맞는 코칭 방식을 선사하는 게 가장 중요할 것 같고요. 그리고 더 중요한 거는 코칭을 할 때 선수들이 즐거울 수 있도록, 즐거운 느낌을 받을 수 있도록, 그리고 행복한 느낌을 받을 수 있도록 최대한 본인이 팀에게 희생을 강요당하지 않게 본인이 좋아서 팀을 위해 희생한다라는 느낌을 받을 수 있도록 그런 방향으로 인도를 해주는 게 가장 좋은 코칭 방법이 아닐까 싶습니다.
So regarding coaching, I feel that depending on the members that compose the team, it's always different because there are different members with different personalities, different characteristics on each team. So part of the job of the coaching staff is to be able to accommodate for those differences and change your style based on what the player seems is the right way to go. And so that there's the least amount of friction possible. Moreover, I also think it's very, very important to be able to have joy with the players. Make sure that all the players are enjoying their play times, that no one is feeling like they're sacrificing themselves in order to make another person's play style better.
All right, thank you very much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, your rookie of the split and coach of the split, Contracts, Reaper, Robin helping with the translations. Time now for us to throw it back to the desk to get us into the games.
Like that interview from Contracts a lot, especially after the first game we just saw there. One of the biggest differences was, jungler proactivity. Contract, their team was working a lot better with Vision, but he was the one making first moves. And Nori and Phoenix One, they threw 3 bans at him and first picked that Graves. But never really got that early game going.
Yeah, definitely deserving a rookie of the split there. And I also think one of the cool things was he even said himself that he's inconsistent, which I think a player calling themselves inconsistent is something you almost never hear because they're usually like, I did this for this reason. right? So something is happening
Yeah.
where Contracts is like, I haven't been able to translate my good performances in scrims to the stage, and we might be seeing that as he becomes more of a veteran player.
Able to look from the outside in and better yourself is always an amazing attribute to have. As we move into game 2, some things to note. Even with the victory coming in, Ray will be going into the top lane for Cloud9 to start things off here.
Spear.
Sword, spear.
Well, so he was called the sword, and then Impact's like, well, you can still block with a sword. Can't block with a spear. You just gotta stab him. That's it.
Swords are cooler. You can block with a sword too.
And
We'll see if Ray does any blocking though, because usually he builds full offense. Definitely have to keep this in mind for Champion Select, especially if we're looking at Zig as well, because Zig actually has a very good win rate on top lane carry champions. However, he'll play whatever the team feels they need in their composition. He'll play that Shen, he'll play tanks, but I think that they really have found a lot of success when he himself is on a carry as well.
Yeah, it's strange because you look at his win rates for champions in the top lane. He's 5-0 all-time on Click, 5-0 all-time on Gangplank, 3-0 all-time on Jace. So you combine all of those 3 champions, he has not been beaten on either of them with 13 victories on carries, which is unusual to see. Even carry players will drop games here and there, but the way that Zig plays it, he plays for the team still, while having something that becomes a threat in the later parts of the game.
And we'll have to see what they're actually going to play around this time for the team. P1 has chosen red side. They're going to get that counter pick towards the second phase.
And they've also chosen to continue to use Shady here, so no stunt subbing in. And even though that game, you can kind of point to a moment where Shady had a blip where it was like, oh, I shouldn't be here, and then got caught out because he wasn't respecting the casting completely. So giving him another shot here, which I think is good, so it's not like, hey, you make one mistake and you're out, because that could really take a toll on your mentality and stop you from making plays.
I mean, both their supports are rookie players. Everyone has to remember, and on the playoff stage here, there's a ton of pressure. They're obviously still not sure about which one they fully want to commit to. They also talked a little bit about how each of the supports has different synergy with Arrow. They didn't quite elaborate on exactly what that meant, but it definitely is due to champion pool, due to how exactly they want to play the lane. So I'm very curious to see if Phoenix One actually put more effort into the early game, because that throughout the split has been one of the areas that teams have exploited versus Cloud9. Even though C9 were at the top for so long, one of the areas we always harped on for them is the early game.
Yeah, their early game, they had, honestly, being towards the top of the standings, one of the most mediocre early games where they was just passable. And then they had one of the best, if not the best, mid-late games in the entire league. So their shot calling, their decision-making is so good past 20 minutes. But Cloud9, they ended up being able to play a slow, controlled style in the early parts of the game. Phoenix One, they got that first turret, they got some map control, but then immediately after that, Cloud9 was all over the map, and they were able to play retake.
Yeah, maybe some more proactive use of Shen, Stand United, try and actually create plays rather than only reacting to offensive moves from C9.
And that comes back a little bit to the champion select, where they hadn't picked anything like the Ashe, or they had the Karma for themselves to kind of disengage as opposed to engage, and there was no Rengar either. So it looked like Phoenix One's composition was more disengage, allow LeBlanc to do her thing, protect her if you need to, but when that got shut down, Phoenix One didn't have enough to force the issue and really relied on Cloud9 to Ashe Arrow to just jump in and start some fights.
And they did. And they did jump in and start their fights. They got what they wanted. A quick pick in the end to Baron. And now we're on to game 2 after they came out with a victory. Mid lane gets a bit of focus. We'll see if P1 still focuses Contracts out.
Yeah, good adaptation here. Even though C9 did get the win, some problems were created by the LeBlanc, and you could tell if Phoenix One were going to take that game, it was going to be due to Ryu, really creating some pressure for them and creating some victories. But not going to be the case, and not even going to get a chance this game.
It was so strange. He's like 1-3, and he's beating a Caston that has 2 kills in the lane, and so was able to just kind of force the issue there himself in the split push. But like you said, they shut down both of the globals that they had selected last time. So Cloud9 changing up the pick and ban pretty drastically.
Yeah, Phoenix One also changing a little bit. They still have that respect for the Lee Sin Contracts. But maybe this opens themselves up to a more proactive jungler than the Graves. That's why we are a little bit surprised when you take away all the these early game playmaking junglers from Inori, who typically, has really thrived in that environment. Recently they did talk about him trying to be more of a team player and more, team oriented. We'll have to see if they continue down that road or not. Ivern is available.
Rengar as well. if they want to get into that mix.
Still have Lulu, still have Rengar, still have Graves, still have all these champions. Rumble is also there.
Little trade-off here.
Ray demanding a lot of focus in the ban phase this time around when he gets subbed in. And that will open up that first pick, Lulu.
They'll have an easy pick for Jace, possibly, if they do want to do that for Ryu. See what they have for the first few picks here if they want to lock in their jungler or get something in the bot lane.
Now, Ryu has played a pretty significant amount of the mid lane Jace, but there's almost no reason to ever show that super early on. And Phoenix One would much rather take away some of the power picks on the table. Contracts, we showed the highlight reel of the super hard carry Rengar game that he had, and they're going to want to take that away from him. Inori obviously made his beginnings as a Rengar main, so see if he still has it.
And one of the most memorable moments for Inori in his entire career is the Rengar game against TSM that stopped their perfect season, or split last year. And so he's going to have it here in the playoffs. Comfort, we talked about how they've been moving a little bit more towards Inori not being a carry for the team, but this is definitely a game where they're looking for him to step up and be aggressive and take it to Contracts in the jungle.
That's why I kind of do like the Cloud9 option there. They could have gone for the Rengar, but they go for kind of the Rengar counter in the Lulu to try and stifle that assassination. We'll see if Smoothie is able to get to the victims, though, in time, because you definitely have to be in place for that setup. And Inori has been known to get off to fairly explosive starts.
And also the fact that you can't really let that Rengar go over to the next phase, because Rengar plus Lulu is a devastating combination. And so when you have both on the table, you'll typically go for the Lulu, like you said, Kobe is the counter, but you can't let both go over. So Phoenix One, it's kind of like Inori going, do I have to play the champion that I mained? Oh no. But I think he's going to have a really good time on it. Oh, I also like the Varus too, because that was banned away. Varus, Kalista, and the Ashe was also taken previously by Cloud9. So the engage was much lower in the AD carry position. Now they have some form of engage for Arrow to start a fight.
This is basically I'm picking what I want to pick because it's open now and it's still kind of safe to pick. Varus picked up as Arrow was banned out on that last game, and the Syndra also found herself on the ban list.
Yeah, Syndra's been one of Jensen's best champions.
Yeah.
Interesting, they decide to blind pick it here rather than answer AD carries for Sneaky.
Right.
So I'm very curious to see. You know, they're making a conscious decision here to hold this bottom lane until the very end of the pick ban phase for themselves. And it could be something as crazy as, like, you know, Kalista coming out. There are a lot of options currently with Blade of the Ruined King working so well with so many different AD carries. It actually becomes very difficult in the second ban phase to really target Sneaky and keep him off of something he enjoys. You know, Lucian he had very good performances on. There are just so many different options. Never mind. Lucian will not be one of those.
Last time they played each other, Arrow got bodied by the Lucian, whereas bottom lane did, and he was like, man, I'll play it the next day against TSM. I learned Lucian from Sneaky. Didn't work out the same way, so gonna ban the Lucian away, so it's not even an option for Cloud9 to pick up here.
Cloud9 waiting, Rumble for Zig, taking away his damage. And we will see what Phoenix One has to answer for this last ban. Still looking for what Ryu is going to answer this game with. He did show the Jace before. He might need a little bit of AP in this competition.
If he wants to go really hard, he can go in on having an Echo as a counter pick to the Syndra and go for something along those lines. Fizz was another champion that did get buffed, and then everybody started playing it top lane Bruiser, and that was something that was a classic Syndra counter. You seed the early parts of the lane, but then you're able to just beat her pretty much every time she shows her face on the screen.
Also, I do like Cloud9 banning out the Rumble here because they kind of block any AD champions from the mid lane for Ryu that he would want to go with, like the Talon. Or even the hover of the Jace that we saw, because they're already very AD loaded with the Rengar jungle, and blocking out a couple more of those APs here from Cloud9.
Yeah, you take away the Rumble, then it's like, okay, well, we have to play something AP mid, or else we're an all AD composition. Rumble kind of the sole AP top laner right now that allows you to run double AD, or double physical damage compositions. And I like the Ahri ban there, because that's actually the best champion for Ryu lifetime. He's 26-4 on Ahri. A lot of respect for that.
Take that away from him. You're going to get the Orianna. Definitely still a top champion for him to play around. And it is not a team that can get out of it that easily, so he should be hitting some big shockwaves once we get into these fights.
Yeah, a lot of setup here. You know, Karma speed up shield for the Rengar into the Orianna shockwave delivery could be very good setup. You know, makes it super easy to land Varus ultimate. Large amounts of damage can come out, and Phoenix One looking like they are adding a bit more pick to their composition, as well as solid team fighting.
Yeah, we just went from having two 1-3-1 compositions against each other, fighting for split push, fighting for vision control. This is more pick and also team fight between these two teams. They're both going for similar strategies here. Would say that Phoenix One are a little bit heavier on the team fighty aspect, and Cloud9 a little heavier on the pick aspect.
Are we going to get the classic, the
with the
Ray
classic.
Jarvan?
Hey, there it is.
And last time we saw him play this, he actually went for Grasp of the Undying, and he went for, I believe, a Titanic Hydra instead of a Ravenous Hydra. So maybe Reaper's gotten to him a little bit. You can't build full damage every game.
You get a little bit bruisery, then he can take a few hits. Ray still was able to put out very consistent DPS on that Jarvan. You still have a lot of burst. His passive plus the Titanic active.
There he is.
Can really find their home. And it's the Kled we've been talking up from Zig.
I think Shady was like, you want the Kled? We just looked over, yep, locked it in. Kled in the top lane for Zig. We're going to get some damage out of the top lane this time.
We talked about team fight. Hard engage from Phoenix One. Rengar ulti, Orianna Ball. You also have the Kled ulti plus the Karma. There is so much for Phoenix One to force the issue. It looks like they looked at the previous ban and went, man, we couldn't engage. How about every lane can engage now?
Also, I'm very, very curious to see where the top lane priority does go, because these top laners are very, very good at ganking mid laners. The Syndra and the Orianna, neither of them do have their own escapes, and it will be very, very telling if either of these teams decide to direct a lot of those resources to gank those champions. I mean, Syndra especially has been one of the most punished low mobility mid laners that we have seen this far.
And I will say there's a little bit more of an easy gank opportunity for the Rengar as opposed to the Graves because of the CC difference between the two. So Inori has the tools to start making this game an early game victory for Phoenix One, whereas Cloud9 looks like they might be stalling a little bit for that mid game, but Syndra could start going off alongside that Jarvan.
I think that's the way Cloud9 plays it. It's not timid, it's tempered. They let that early game kind of slide along, and then they take action, and that's where you're saying Phoenix One can take grab of the game themselves. We're going to hop into this game 2. P1 versus C9 as we head for Vancouver. We head for the final matchup. The crowd is ready. We're about to get onto the Rift. We're about to see what can happen between these two teams. Like we said, P1 has quite the speed comp. If it were any other meta, probably see Arrow back on his Sivir for even more speed, as that was one of his most played throughout the splits. And we're on to the Varus this game, and we're on the Rift.
And we're talking about all-time records like Arrow's most played champion, etc.
Yeah.
Jensen, 10-1 all-time on Syndra.
There you go.
Zig, 5-0 on this Kled. So there are some records here where these guys are playing for comfort, and they're playing to win the semifinals.
Syndra is also one of the champions that really does put your dodging to a test. He's been very good on it so far, and we'll have to see if he can keep it up, because Phoenix One, they did make one of those adjustments that we were talking about, putting Inori on a little bit more proactive early game. So we'll definitely track his route and see if C9 can do the same, looking for a Raptor invade or not.
Dance, no damage early this game. And the line of scrimmage actually doesn't allow too much tango over by the Raptors. Contracts will probably still squeeze himself in, get an end of the line, and give a little hassle to Zig and Inori as we start things off, just as usual.
All right, so we don't get any of the wards actually on the Raptors, but both these champions typically do start them, so that will be the assumed position until seen otherwise by both teams.
Yep. You get an Orianna Ball leash for yourself as well, and a Syndra Orb on both sides. So both junglers will have an okay time on these camps. Of course, Rengar does a pretty good job once he gets the double Qs of clearing out all the small ones. Get himself level 2 real quick.
Here's up to the top. Looks like they're on just about the same pace as we start things off in the lane as well. We'll have to see which way that pushes first. No real hard push from either of these bot lanes, unless the the supports start going for damage.
And we just saw the Masteries pop up. Grasp the Undying again for Ray in the top lane here, so it might be another Titanic Hydra build for himself. Have a little bit more burst damage.
Also, a little bit more team fighting from Contracts, going with the Storm Raider Surge on Graves has been gaining quite a lot of popularity. Obviously, you don't have that burst that's super effective in the early game. That might mean the difference between... well, it's not going to help you hit the Qs, but Yeah, not going to have the Thunderlord's burst, but will have the extra speed that really does help Graves get out the consistent DPS a bit later on.
Yeah, we've seen some shifts in terms of masteries for a lot of champions that kind of gone unsung, like the Storm Raiders change or shift for Graves players from Thunderlords, where they just want to chase you down. They want to be able to burst somebody in a fight and then reposition. And even Karma. It used to be Emax and Wind Speakers. It actually shifted a little bit towards the middle of the season where people max Q now to shove the wave and get priority, and they take Thunderlords. So it's all about winning the lane for a lot of these guys.
I was gonna say, it feels better.
Even Lulu, right? They're taking Thunderlords to just go for the harass and try to poke you out of lane.
As far as an update on the junglers there, though, Inori did go for that red clear quick back. This time, though, he picks up the longsword, so we'll see if he actually goes for it. Any of those early skirmishes. Definitely is orienting a little bit more towards that tendency here. Invade from Contracts, looking for the Scuttle Crab control first, though. Since he didn't go for the early back, has that level lead as well.
Yeah, also an early control ward there off on the side to spot him out when he passes through.
Seems like he'll be okay. Gets himself in a little bit safer of a spot. If it's not, as Ryu takes quite a bit of damage in the mid lane, can afford to, has that barrier, so he may play Jensen a little bit if we see Inori come to mid.
Yeah, and Jensen should be hugging the bottom side still, because that's where Contracts just went to get Scuttle plus a ward. So a lot of control for C9 in that side of the river. And if Jensen plays the lane how he usually does, super aggressive, always going for these harassment trades, then he's going to want to retreat to that area away from the side of the brush where Rengar could be leaping from.
It's funny, too, because we were talking last week in the quarterfinals about how Ryu, we call it the Ryu stat. It's how much time in the first 15 minutes you spend past the river in lane and on the enemy side of the map. And Ryu is #1. So he plays aggressive, but look at this. Contracts flashing in.
Trades flashes there with Arrow, and now this will be a summonerless AD carry. See if C9 can actually keep up the focus, though, because this could be a very defensive bottom lane for Phoenix One now. They're just going to want to try and CS from afar. And we'll have to see if that does take a toll on the CS numbers now.
There's the push. Glitter lands through the wave.
There's a pings top side. Inori's going to go into these top brush. He pinged on his way, and Ray was about half HP, and he's playing really aggressive against this Kled.
Yeah, and you can also see Phoenix One, their bottom lane plays super defensively after that.
Ray spotted him. That minion, that melee minion up there, spotted Inori going into the next bush.
Yeah, he knows it. Well, that one's a little bit too close.
Nicely played as well to not kind of give away the advantage. I think Zig was saying you might have been caught. So Inori pulls back, goes ahead back to his jungle there. It was a nice bait try as well. That's P1 trying to play off, like you said, the aggression of Ray. He's going to continuously do the same things in lane. Let's try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, decent little CS lead should start to build here for Zig. There are a lot of extra minions in lane, even though he hasn't picked them all up yet. A nice tiny bit of a lead here on Ray, who's going to look to go refill his potion fairly soon.
Ray is maxing W first on Jarvan top. He's making sure he has defensive tools to just survive.
Yeah, that's become actually super common for the top lane Jarvans, especially on live where there's buffs. But everyone's just doing that so you can actually get through the lane phase now on the Jarvan. It makes it a lot easier to go for any sort of trades. Pushes up, goes into the jungle here to see if he can get any sort of advanced notice.
And as we now, 6 minutes into this game, we're going to throw it to Captain Flowers, who spoke with Reaper earlier about C9. Ooh.
Right after the champion select phase, and he was talking to me about what he thought about the draft. He thought that Cloud9 got the better end of things during the picks and the bans. Asked him about what he thought about subbing Ray in this game, and although he couldn't go into specifics, he did tell me that there were some strategic and tactical reasons behind the decision, but he does think that Kled versus Jarvan is a straight out of solo queue matchup, so we'll have to see how that one goes in the top lane. And when asked what he generally thought about going up against Inori's Rengar, he said he's more than capable. His boys are more than capable of getting the job done up against that pick. We'll have to see how it all turns out for those guys, but back to you guys on the desk.
Strategic and tactical. Haha.
Straight out of solo queue. Same sentence.
All right, thank you very much, Captain Flowers. We'll have to see how that pretty volatile top lane goes. They've already been at each other's necks each time they're in lane.
It's funny because Reaper, I got to do the sideline interview with him previously. He's very cryptic in a lot of the things that he says. Doesn't give you a lot of reasoning to the madness of who's subbing in, when, why. Right here, Arrow.
Same play.
Flash.
Deja vu for the bot lane. Contracts comes in for the same play. A few of the summoners down, makes it happen in their favor this time.
Questions answered. We were wondering if they would be able to return and actually punish the earlier gank in the summonerless AD carry. Contracts right back out on the field, and once again, he gets the better early game over Inori, even though he's on the more farm-oriented jungler. Inori now is going to feel that pressure. I mean, this is a guy who has been subbed in and out on the team and talked about how, he wants to prove himself and he really wants to fit in.
Looking for the blue?
Good drag.
I like it.
Regardless, though, that can get into your mind and affect your playstyle a little bit if the other jungler's making moves. It's just kind of baked into every jungle main that you are used to getting flamed as soon as the other jungler starts doing stuff.
Why isn't he here? Yeah, you gotta have thick skin as a jungler.
That's not a mastery.
Or mute all. Same thing.
Coming up on 9 minutes, still 1 kill. Very much like the first game where things have been slowed down after we saw a quick play. It just happened towards that bot lane, so give Contracts a little more time as it looks like they will move in to P1 side of the jungle.
Again, so proactive here, Cloud9. Smoothie and Contracts working in unison to get vision. Jensen still has this bottom side of the map to retreat to. He plays aggressively in this lane. He knows he has all this vision on the bottom side. He's so safe over by this blue quadrant. And Inori now does have options, though. You can go for lane ganks with Rengar, super easy with your ultimate. So that may be something they try and look to punish. However, you would have to knowingly work around all the extra vision that Cloud9 have put, and currently they're walking right through it.
Exactly, and you also have to work around the fact that all these flashes are up except smoothies, so it will most likely be return ganks or 2-time ganks that'll actually land you the kills.
Yep.
A lot of trading up here. And Zig losing it, about to dismount.
Ray is playing it fantastic. Anytime the bear trap hits,
oh, he's almost rebounded.
Flag and drag.
Saving the ult.
Gets it back. There's Scarl. He's going to go back for Ray. Knows he needs to pull out of this one. One more bear trap. Always goes in, tries to get that flag and drag, but did not have it and had to flash.
It's always, never mind. Inori looking to pick Smoothie.
The guy with no flash either.
Wild growth. He didn't really get too much onto Inori there, and Ryu's going to be able to get in for a little bit of help. They kill Smoothie down, and Inori starts off a kill for himself. You guys said once the jungler does something, the other one has to respond, and Inori did just that.
Ryu?
Shockwave onto Ryu, almost gets taken down as he's pulling in Inori for the fight. If they weren't able to get enough damage, that's going to be the ult. Oh, from downtown, Contracts with the collateral damage.
I was going to say, Ryu knows no fear going for that trade, but you should have a healthy amount of fear.
He has barrier.
Yeah, he has barrier.
But he didn't expect that.
He has a lot of answers, but none of them were used, and Ryu goes down to the ult. Yeah, that was a good answer from Contracts, but definitely gonna blame Ryu on that one a little bit.
You know what the most frustrating thing in the world as jungler is you're working so hard, overtime for these ganks, and then the other guy just comes in, does one ability, gets like the easiest gank of his life. You're like, man, I'm sweating over here just for like 300 gold myself.
Yeah,
this guy comes in, boom!
Take another look at this. It was really intelligent there by Inori, trying to punish the flashless support, and it looked like Smoothie. Maybe there was some communication with him and Jensen. Hey, maybe there's a chance we turn around on Ryu. But Jensen's like, nah, I think you're dead. So he backs off and then only ends up going for the full trade once Ryu starts it off. As far as reacting to the ultimate from Graves there, definitely a possibility for the barrier, but he just was not looking for it. And if you're that low staying in lane, I think you always have to be looking for any sort of danger on the edge of Fog of War. You have to have your finger over that button.
Yeah.
You should definitely, as a pro level, have time to react if you're looking for it. And that was just, a little bit lazy and lack of respect.
One of those other scenarios where you're like, oh, he flashed on me. Well, you got to be ready for the flash.
You got to anticipate.
Everybody runs flash.
Yeah. That's the thing, is you got to be like, when it happens.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, then that's fine.
Right.
Not if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of okay with people staying in lane that low if you have this objective to push it out and your jungler's there or something, but you have to have respect for the damage. Jensen now gets sucked in, and a decent amount of damage dealt his way.
Yeah. Man, it's like Ryu is not okay with being shoved in.
No, he is down CS as well, wants to get the ult on, a little bit of health advantage in lane. Could mean an easy kill for Nori to come in with ult. So they're going to try to get as much damage onto Jensen once they get back as possible. A lot of wards coming out from both sides here, and C9 is still creeping into that jungle with a lot of vision.
Yeah, actually very important wards here. I like the placement of this top lane one. from Lei and Cloud9 to see those roams that we set up in Champ Select that are a possibility of punishing these mid laners. Man, the trades are fun too!
He missed the bear trap on a rope. So Zig actually going to be dismounted here. Ray has the ulti and a Tiamat. That might be a lot of damage.
Looking for it.
Rebound.
Cataclysm goes down. He just gets Carl back. The invulnerability saves him, and he's still got to be very careful.
I love this game. Playing on the edge here. You know, does he have the extra attack reset to be able to remount? And Ray this time around plays a little bit more safe. Almost able to burst him down though.
And like Reaper was saying, straight out of solo queue here, this is one of those matchups where you got to have no fear. Zig, if he chickens out, he dies.
Look at this
Keep
though.
hitting him.
Inori's got the setup on Contracts this time around, and Ryu's doing a little bit of baiting.
But Ryu has no ultimate here.
Yeah, plus they didn't wait for the full commitment into that bait.
Right.
Rengar, as soon as you pop your ultimate, you know, very long distance, you're going to be alerting the enemies. So there were no movement abilities used by Cloud9 to really take that bait and go in to commit to attacking Ryu. So.
Ooh. Got locked up. Ray already used his Dragon Strike there, so he couldn't really get himself through the flag and drag. Zig's gonna back and see what he can get himself. Actually looks like he's gonna stay here. There may be a little fun coming from Contracts.
They're trading a whole bunch in Contracts. Yeah, this is like a moth to a flame here. A jungler to a gank.
Oh, why not? If there's trades, you gotta bring a partner. Three's the crowd now for Zig in the top side. Scarl's out, and I think this is the first time Zig will be 2.
Finally, a jungler goes to this top lane that we've been seeing, just hand and fist, just fighting till like 10 HP.
It's so football-y too.
And what do you know? It's the Graves that gets up there first.
Yeah.
So Contracts should be able to push down the turret as well, and that's a lot of damage at least being done to this first blood on turret.
And oh man, Ray didn't even have his flash. He had his flash blown in a one-on-one against Zig. Zig had his flash the whole time, and that was still not an area that Inori really wanted to go gank. And they just kept trading.
It was just that one lapse in vision. We kind of just saw Ray put those wards down. It was cleared out for P1, and Contracts had a beautiful roam towards it. A beautiful roam. An easy roam.
Yeah, I was talking about
towards
easy
the top
ganks.
side. Easy
One
ganks.
of those.
Got to start to worry for Phoenix One as, you know, we've seen the slow and sort of methodical early games be in Cloud9's favor. And this time around, C9 are actually accruing a fairly healthy early lead as well. Take another look at this. Contracts clearing in the river, so he heads right up into this little skirmish.
Yeah, Zig's ultimate gets blocked there as well because it'll latch onto the nearest enemy.
Right.
So just doesn't give him any movement speed to get away.
Yeah, not the greatest escape tool because of the way it's designed. Not supposed to be used to charge away.
Also doesn't blow flash there because he knows that he's dead to rights. The reason he went in is Ray used the E to check the bush, so he doesn't have EQ combo for a knockup. And as soon as Ray starts running away from his E, you gotta kind of know that something's going on.
Yeah, which it's, by the way, that's one of the best ways to bait people in. You know, using the obvious escape tools and then putting yourself out there like, oh, look, I can't get away. Don't want to get away.
Poor helpless Jarvan.
5 control wards just were in the inventories of each member on both sides. All of those placed down by P1 around the dragon area. Ziggs went down just behind the Rift Herald at the moment. So it looks like they're ready to start a little bit more control past River. Feeling confident here. And it looks like they're going to feel confident towards the bot lane. Chain of Corruption goes down. Contracts is going to be to Nori first. Teleport comes in.
Oh!
And Arrow's going to be the one locked down. Ray just has everyone in the party zone. Anori's going to get next. And Zig could be the triple. Gets this over the wall. Command Shockwave's not going to do too much. His Contract stays alive. Shady looking for the kill. And Ray just comes up huge.
Oh, no hesitation from Cloud9, and they're able to get so much of it. They can push down another turret. This is actually chaining out of control. Very strong early game. Ray looking for more aggressive moves as well.
Ray will make you remember when he plays this. And so far, he has started off quite well for himself. 4-0 on the board. Almost all of the kills for his team as they get a 5K gold lead just 17 minutes in. You see the ult there and the flash just being used by Ryu as they continue to take control of these lanes.
Sneaky also had a pretty good heal there during the shockwave on Contracts to keep him alive, so Cloud9 actually did not lose anyone. Now all of a sudden, this Jarvan, 4-0 for Ray off this bottom lane teleport, and very big combination. Cataclysm right into a great ult from Smoothie to get that triple knockup. Very good coordination there from the C9 squad, and Phoenix One feeling a bit worried at this stage.
See this again.
Yeah, this was a great teleport from Ray to come through. But then Phoenix won. It seems like a split call. Inori jumps onto Contracts, and then Ray finally comes in, gets in there, and now Inori's actually stuck after the knockup, and you can see him try to move away. He can't. Stuck on the wall. Ray's then going to pick up the double, and then it's going to be the Kled Kebab for the third.
Cats don't like being closed in. They,
But they love boxes for some reason.
so true.
If I fits, I sits.
So true. See where they can go with this one. 2-0-4. Your rookie of the split here with full kill participation in game 2. Contracts from Kazac's last game to this game with kills on the board.
Yeah, getting pretty easy ones too to start the game off. The Phoenix won. They've been more proactive, but right there, that was another play they started that got turned around on them. So Cloud9 are playing really well reactively, and it's a good early game for them too.
And it's difficult for Phoenix One, especially because of the composition that they're running here. Their main options to get back into this are just to go all in on and try and get a numbers advantage fight. I mean, they've got people that just go forward here. The Kled Rengar combo, you know, with Orianna Shockwave being delivered is their option to get back in. And Cloud9 already grouping up early. They already have a lot more money to fight with. It makes it very difficult for Phoenix One at this stage to get a very good look at one of those all-in fights.
Yeah, and Cloud9, they've been winning the mid lane the entire game in CS, and then in bottom lane, it's been kind of the same story here. Sneaky Smoothie have definitely been beating Arrow and Shady this game.
Contracts making his presence felt on the Graves, and we shall see if they can figure it out, because Phoenix One are making some counterplay. They were able to get the mid turret down, and now trying to transition into the top outer, and should be able to get there in time. See what Cloud9 decides to react. It could be a push-up mid, or they could try and take a defensive fight.
They're pushing this turret, and then it looked like they're trying to maybe jump on somebody who goes to defend, but it just looks like they're going for splitting the map, trying to run you around, go top, bring some people there, and then go to the bottom side. But right now, Ocean Drake's about to come up in 15 seconds.
It's kind of like if we can do it without Ray being there, we can do it quick for Cloud9 right now. Gets very scary if you stay too long. He's back to the top side, and not much is going to be able to stop him. Going for Asterix now. Get himself that much bigger. Titanic, I should say in the end. Where will he decide to go? Ryu pushing himself back to mid lane here as he has to focus on Jensen, making sure that he does not get any bigger here.
I mean, this is a pretty easy initiation here for Cloud9. Start up on the Drake. They've got some vision coverage. Phoenix One were just completing recalls here from the Rengar, so no jungler even close to being able to come. And the options for Phoenix One continue to dwindle here. Maybe Ray is going to be the target.
4 people on him.
What will the team be able to get out of this, though? This is a is-it-worth situation. Clearing from Ryu in the mid side may be enough to stall C9.
They should try and collapse on the rest of the team and force C9 off of this push. Looks like they're heading the long way up the river, and Ryu trying to clear the wave.
Yeah, and he's going to do it successfully. Shockwave actually helps clear out the last bits. Now Contracts will go towards the top, shove that in for some pressure, and when you do that, you force somebody to come answer it in the next few seconds.
Definitely one of the few options there for Phoenix One that is advisable, and they found a very small opening back into this game where they had very limited options. So definitely good, you know, steady play calling there from Phoenix One. They're not panicking too much at the moment.
He's looking for Arrow. Instead of actually pushing the wave, cleared out the Krugs and then went for a few seconds of considering going for a gank. There was a Graves in there. Yeah, Zig's had so much alone time with his bottom turret. He's about to have his W up, so he'll get some extra autos in there. But here comes Ray. Let's see if Zig commits to it.
Their first turret!
Ah, he did it!
Be able to waltz out of this one, no trouble. Top lane's gonna get a little bit of, actually holds him in. Gonna get another flag and trap, keep it on the backside, the knockup. Nobody's down here, and everybody's going topside for C9, so Zig controlled by Ray.
He had the W back again.
Here comes Scaro back, so Ray just has to kind of work this one out, and it looks like Zig is not going to want the rest of the fight. P1 pulls off in the top lane, so no casualties.
Yeah, once you have that W up for Kled, you really hope it's when you're dismounted, so you can remount very quickly.
Ray also can't really chase that too far.
Yeah.
He's a tank, can't burst him down, and there were a lot of recalls there for Phoenix One, so they could not account for all members.
There was Flash and Heal blown by Arrow as well as Flash and Shady, what was happening in the top lane. So we'll have to be careful of how the back lane, I should say back line, acts for P1.
All right, Phoenix One with their all-in.
Oh, trying to catch C9 as they're split, looking for a play.
Who do they want? They are actually quite split. Contracts is going to be first to make sure his damage does not come through. Ray to the back so he can get with his team. Nicely positioned, and P1 pulls off. They're happy with that.
Again, no hesitation for P1. They are able to get some back.
Ooh. Countered by Scarl and team.
Yeah, forces you to not use the R as Syndra, or else it just falls into Scarl.
And Ray back to the top side here, almost cannot be stopped. And P1 is starting to get kind of strung around the map in a composition they tried to run for the first time.
Yeah, again, though, they have so few options that these are the moves you have to take from behind. And even though it's just a drop in the bucket, it's just that one kill, these are the steps that you have to take. It's a long process to get back in here, and definitely a good first one there for themselves.
Yeah, it's that breath you get to take after being down under the water for so long. It feels really great that you got something back, but you really just have a moment to stay more time underneath the water instead of drown. So right now, Phoenix One, they get a little bit of a breather. They get to buy some items. Zig will finish up the Titanic Hydra shortly. And they have to play more around these objectives as they start coming up. Mountain Drake won't be for a good while, but that Baron, you always have to kind of have that in the back of your mind. That is an objective that Cloud9 could go for.
Sneaky is about to be explosive. If they get a good fight and money in his pocket, Blade of the Rune King finished, and he is stacked on that tier. So once he has the money for that as well, it's instant transformation. Not gonna suck. 0-0 and 4. He's been able to stay safe on the backside, dealing the DPS, so he will keep that going. 3K cold lead. As we come up on 25 minutes, we'll see a little bit mid-pressure here.
So one of the interesting things also, about this composition is that as Cloud9, even with this lead, you're kind of drawn in two directions where, yeah, they do want Ray to get a side wave pushing, but you also want Ray, if Zig is in the area to start off the engage, to be the one to soak up this Kled charge. And your tank can't be in both places at once.
Yeah.
Well, you want to get the side wave pushing, he also wants to be your point man, because you just step in front of the Kled charge, and it puts a stop to a lot of what Phoenix One are built around.
And especially right now, when Ray doesn't have teleport, he's spread even thinner, because now that bottom wave gets shoved in, Ray has to go answer that, which now gives Zig a window to make a Scarl charge play without an answer from Ray. So Cloud9 will have to back off as soon as they start noticing that Zig is no longer bot lane.
That's the trigger we need to see pulled here. They have to be confident enough to go in. Titanic just finished up for Zig as well, so he gets a bit more damage along with his Black Cleaver.
Now this will be mid-turret. They're going to start pushing in for it. Jensen has to get this blue, and that's pressure for P1. Yeah,
Cloud9 backing off appropriately here as they're waiting for the teleport to come back for Ray, and might even have to make the call to just 5-man it and group up so they actually do have that front line. Because, as we said, the combo here with the Scarl plus the Rengar Orianna is a lot of damage to the back line. And if Jensen and Sneaky cannot evade, even though Phoenix One are down, it could change quickly.
Contracts doesn't have a flash there either. If Ryu pulls the trigger on the ulti, he'll get the ulti from Smoothie, and they may possibly have a way to chase that down. But they had to go back to spreading out, and Arrow was top.
Very good setup here for Cloud9, though, around the Drake. They've got vision, they have their tank with them, so this should be a pretty good situation for C9 to set up and immediately start this Drake out. I don't really see Phoenix One risking it to try and steal a Mountain Drake. Mountain Drake very good, though, as far as pressuring Baron as well.
Yeah, they're just going to keep tending to their waves here. P1 will now actually force C9 to walk the long way around. This minion wave will crash. They didn't get this turret previously, but this is the time for P1 to finally try and make a play and clear out Vision top.
Yeah, safety in numbers for Cloud9, though. They're trying to move in. The turret is definitely going to go down to Phoenix One, but will any stragglers be locked up? Not quite yet. Inside track now does belong to Cloud9 up the mid lane, and Phoenix One trying to rotate back.
Yeah, they don't even have time to clear out that control ward either. It's get there now. It's a matter of seconds.
This also balls C9 up for a perfect shockwave, though. Ryu puts it in. It doesn't look like a trigger. They could pull.
Yeah, it might be a shockwave on the minion wave again to try and get rid of it if they keep pushing, but C9 rotate now.
It's like they're calling each other's bluffs.
Yeah, it's about minion wave control.
Right.
And now the side waves, top is in favor of P1 right now, shoving out. Bottom is actually, I believe, even / shoving a little bit in favor of P1.
Next question for me is, are Cloud9 really willing to push it with this Mountain Drake? Because it can be one of those game-changing Drakes. You want to be grouped up. You want to have your Jarvan in the front line. And now with the Mountain Drake, you have a lot of threat on actually burning down a Baron. So if you clear out enough vision and you force Phoenix One into enough of these opportunities where they lost sight of Baron and they have to worry about checking it, eventually, those are where you see these forced errors where Phoenix One try and come over to check vision. They have the Varus where they're trying to poke you off, but somebody could slip up. And those are the...
Yep.
There we go. They are actually going for it.
But
You were saying?
There's a ward in the back, but it's canceled out by the control, so now they see it. Ryu does have the shockwave.
4,000.
Teleport in. It's going to be a forced fight
Kled
from both
flank.
teams.
Oh, it's burning fast.
Kled has that ultimate, but he doesn't have a member he can find. He would be locked out by
Oh,
Ray.
so
Ray wants Kled. Now the team has to focus somebody.
That
They
was
force the fight, and he flashes out. And nobody wants ham for dinner tonight.
But that was the TP, the flash, and the ulti from Ray. He's just a knockup bot right now after that.
And not even a healthy one. Took a lot of damage there. The shield obviously does scale off more people getting hit. Only Cataclysms on Zig, so not much lasting damage there. And Cloud9 jumped the gun quite a bit there, even though they were holding most of the cards as far as the pressure game. Interesting switch here for Jensen over to the bottom
Pressure reverses. Because Jensen's bot, they're like, all right, time to get vision control of this Baron.
They start Baron with a true shot barrage before they actually want it. Nice shot by Sneaky.
P1 can't get back to mid now.
Phoenix One also don't have the Mountain Drake, so they don't have the same pressure that C9 does.
What a game of Ring Around the Rosie. Ryu gonna back. He can get a good shockwave or at least dissonance on the wave to clear the turret, but they are just toying with P1 right now and have their goal side to the mid and base.
Contract screening here. They take the entire turret and shove up into the inhibitor one, but here goes Zig.
Engaging mid on
Where
Sneaky.
can Sneaky go? Pulls it through. Ray's able to come through as well with the block. Anori on the side. He's trying to get Jensen a quick flash. Dodges out most of that front end damage. And summoner spells from Jensen are down, but they're still going to toy with this a little bit before they back off.
Yeah, everybody gets antsy when the Baron starts to become the priority here.
I'm feeling antsy about that too. It's this shockwave from Ryu. They're trying to look for a good position for it. One of the things that P1 did get out of that, though, is the flash from Jensen, and he doesn't have Ghost either right now. So he's a little bit of an easier target to get with the shockwave, and he is a big target for Cloud9 that they really want to take from P1 side.
Definitely true. Both summoners down here for Jensen. He is level 16, so he's also a big offensive tool that C9 cannot afford to lose.
Yeah, he also has Zhonya's Hourglass, so that's another thing that kind of helps him with having the flash down. So he can outplay that if you don't fully respect that in his inventory, and he's fast on the fingers.
Currently, C9 looking to get cooldowns back as they send Ray to the bottom side. He has no teleport, so they're not looking to offensively pressure. They're just trying to farm up the lane and get minions back pushed out so that they can actually go clear some of these control wards. Because Phoenix One are fighting very valiantly here to stay in this game number 2. They don't want to go down easily. Still have eyes to move towards the finals.
And both these games have actually been rather close. And it hasn't been one of those, hey, somebody's completely out of the game 20 minutes in. It hasn't been a stomp. Cloud9 had great control for the early part of the game, but they haven't been able to completely push the issue and keep forcing it. So you can see here, vision-wise, the wards per minute and the control wards per minute. Cloud9 just a little bit up there. Like that right there, that's almost 30 control wards in this game alone for Cloud9.
Meanwhile,
I did the math.
They've gone back to the Baron here, and those control wards getting their use. Ray looking for another engage, but Phoenix One are spreading out again.
I got that was game 1, so that was a huge vision warp. Look at that, Shockwave only on Ray.
Chain of Corruption's onto Ray. He may have to take the fight to save the rest of the team, and he may go, there he is, towards the back line.
Ooh,
now the
arrow
team can consider what can happen. They call the audible, decide to go back in. And collateral damage does not do too much to the back line. Arrow and Shady have flash, so they have to be careful.
Yeah, they can't get the follow-up, though.
Right.
That stun, not able to land Cinder Stun through into the Cataclysmed Arrow, who still had flash. So Phoenix One, very, very happy about that little skirmish. Another pick for themselves. And Cloud9 unable to really gain ground. It's just another Cloud Drake, so wow, they should be able to go switch over to that side of the map. Phoenix One, very happy.
Yeah, right now, though, if you go get Cloud Drake, you sacrifice the vision on Baron, and I feel like Cloud9 really don't want to commit to that.
Ray does have teleport when he revives, though.
Oh, Jensen, zoning at the Shockwave.
Oh, instantly deleted, though, gets the damage off onto Arrow. There weren't enough on the ground to do the damage he wanted. The remount doesn't happen. Contracts picks up the kill 1-for-1 in both damage dealers from the team. Contracts now trying to do solo work. He gets the kill. A double kill onto Ryu now. Now they're looking for Arrow. Ray's coming in. The flag and drag close. The ultimate's down and almost up if they can continue the long fight. A triple kill from Contracts. Looking for the Quadra. A Quadra kill. And Sneaky takes the last one to clean it up. A full ace coming in for Cloud9.
Is an absolute beast. Completely just pulling Cloud9 back into this game after Jensen goes down. My goodness.
He's been doing some sick screening. He has 100% kill participation and a Quadra to top it off, and that's going to be the game.
Absolutely ridiculous. This man just regurgitates highlight reels left and right. They're inside the base. It's only game 2, and we can still go to 5, but Cloud9 is making a hell of a fight for 3 games.
Match point for Cloud9 to move on to Vancouver Finals. And that's off the back of the rookie, too. That's off the new guy.
And every time we interview Contracts, he's so outspoken about how good the organization has been to him, how good of an experience he has had as a rookie, transitioning from the Challenger scene into the LCS. Very supportive teammates, integrated very quickly with all the support staff.
And let's not forget the early game shored up by the plays of Ray this time. The mid best of 5 switch, as Cloud9 has been able to do, and Ray coming out pretty sharp spear this game. Played a good Jarvan.
Yeah, he did. He got a whole bunch of kills, but I feel like this game, from P1's side, they actually let those lapses in vision get punished so hard. Where Contract's able to walk up, boo, there's an ulti for a kill.
Lane,
walk up top, there's still a flash on the enemy top laner, gets a kill. And Inori's sitting there on this Rengar trying to look for eloquent ganks on these gank pads. And then it's just like Contract's like, brute force, there we go. You guys are fighting and playing off of his lanes a lot better than Inori was.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to be a complete rework here for Phoenix One, because now it's up against the line here. C9 are staring down a 3-0, looking to move on already, and Phoenix One have to switch it up here to try and put up a fight.
I mean, we know that C9 strength in a best of 5. Reaper had said, we feel more than capable to handle that Rengar if it does go on to Inori. They let it through picks and bans, and they handled it. They feel like, or it seems like they feel like they're going in with a complete game plan and being able to run that game plan.
Yeah, solid early game from Cloud9, which we haven't seen in quite a while, and you know, Contracts is at the heart of it.
And I think another big thing too is they never let Arrow get off the ground in these games. He got ganked twice, flash first time, and then they get to ulti in the second and kill him, and then he falls behind, barely does any damage that game on the Varus, and is completely a non-factor.
Well, we still have 1 game to sure things up for P1. Let's check in with Freak and the analyst to get their thoughts on that game 2.
Thank you very much, Riv. Our thoughts are that Cloud9 won it, and now they're up 2-0. I'm sure there are more from you as well, but I'm play-by-play normally, so I saw the screen and I was like, that's what I think. I read the numbers and I'm literate as far as that's concerned. So talking about this one, C9, Contracts especially, smashed in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think he played incredibly well. And to me, so much of the early game success in all the lanes was due to Contracts. I think both the first gank to force Summoner's bot lane, repeat for a kill. He's up in top, the first jungler to affect there. He's pressuring around mid lane. Like, this guy looked really good.
And usually that's how I think of C9. It's like C9 has exceptionally good laners, and they just lane really well, and essentially Contracts' job is to somehow get them out of lane. And it's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie player, and I think that's why you see a lot of games where he's not doing too well, and some games where he's doing great. And this is a really good gank where Contracts just comes out of nowhere, flashes, or he boots a flash the first gank before and just comes back and cleans up the kill like 3 minutes later.
And I mean, I actually think that this is more of an atypical game from Contracts. I think that he hasn't performed as well throughout the split. In this playoff series, he's been smashing. Like, he has been super on point, you know, affecting mid lane there, and then back on the bot side again. He's been involved in every kill throughout this game.
Yeah, 100% KP, had, I think, what, 6 kills or so by the end of it all. Nearly got a penta. He just was everywhere, and No, he cut it out. Nori in this clip and then got damaged by the end of it. Of course, Ray got the kills, but does this still matter?
And this, he almost picks up. He picks up a quadra kill here. I just think, and he cleaned up a fight which started really, really badly for C9. I think, yes, this is an atypical game for him. However, generally, that's just like, he's gotten a lot better through the end of the split. I think consistency-wise, especially weeks like 8 and 9, I think he's definitely gone up, has an upward trending like motion in terms of improvement.
And I'm super impressed that you take a rookie player, you put him in the semifinals, he didn't have quarterfinals or anything to warm up in, and he is not only living up to the hype and the pressure, but he is actually excelling. Like, he has been incredible in both of the first 2 games.
Yeah, I'd say he's the better jungler for sure both times. I mean, definitely some great plays by him. Minor shout out in that last replay we saw, Rengar's running with the ulti on, and he's like, oh, I'm going to control ward to get the red outline just to make sure we know which way he's going. Like, just little things like that where it's like in the heat of the moment, he's doing really smart things. And again, this is a rookie player. Like, you expect them to learn over time, and he has, and that's great to see. Contracts has been really amazing. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about Phoenix 1 here, because I think we expected this to be a somewhat close match, even if it is C9 favored. They're getting somewhat rolled over. What changes?
Maybe their jungler. I think Nori for both games hasn't played too well, and I actually thought Nori had a good shot at outperforming Contracts. Contracts has been one of the players who on a top 4 team sometimes doesn't look top 4 at his position. And I thought that, Nori had a good last week, and I was like, oh, maybe he's coming in to smash the series, but that's not been the case.
And I was also, honestly a little bit surprised that Shady was the starting support today after Stunt performed so well. I thought, in the previous series, he was super pumped up during those games. They smashed Dignitas 3-0 with Stunt, and then he's not shown his face at all for the semifinals. So I don't know if it's the scrims are going worse for him or what it is, but I wouldn't be surprised to see changes made across the board.
And I think what C9 wants is also what P1 wants, which is they want to go into mid-late game kind of even, and they trust their carries to carry. However, looking to teamfight against C9, which is probably one of the best team fighting teams in the league, is really dangerous. And I think that they can't afford to do that. They need someone who's able to make plays for them to get them into a better position come mid-game. And I don't think Nori's been that proactive playmaker that their team needs.
Which is interesting because this was the guy who hard carried against TSM 1v9 on that Rengar, and even though he's building damage, we're not getting that same performance. So just to kind of rephrase you, are you kind of saying that C9 is just a better P1 and you need P1 to be a different team to match up better here?
I think that stylistically they have a lot of people, or the games are kind of similar. Or
right.
I guess both of them don't have amazing early games, but a lot of times their junglers can maybe explode out their lanes, and they really just want to get to the point where either Ryu and Arrow can carry, or Jensen and Sneaky can carry. And it just so happens that I just think maybe C9's a more completed P1 because C9 also has a great bot lane laning phase.
And I mean, Ryu has been down in CS pretty heavily across both the games. It seems like Jensen is more than his match in the mid lane, and Arrow really has not been able to show up and have a big effect.
Yeah, well, just heard Meteos is going to be playing. Ooh. That's the only sub that I heard, so it looks like Shady will stay in for the 3rd game, and Meteos will come in, so maybe your wish is true that, yeah, that's going to be fine.
Yeah, and Stun is actually going to come in too.
Okay.
Just get the word. So they are going to swap both up. So obviously, when you go into a game with a game plan, you're down 0-2, you got to try something. We'll see.
Right. This seems like the Hail Mary play, and honestly, I hope it works out because I'd like to see more games.
All right, it's going to be a fun one. So we got new styles coming up. It's going to be interesting. Maybe the reverse sweep can continue the trend here in North America. Who knows? But we're going to be stepping away for a short break, and we'll see if Phoenix 1 can indeed fight back against Cloud9's 2-0 lead. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the North American LCS Spring Playoffs.
Ryu? Shockwave onto Ryu, almost gets taken down as he's pulling in a Nori for the fight. If they weren't able to get enough damage, that's going to be the no! From downtown, Contracts.
80 flashed. 80. I'm ulting here. Yeah. I'm polymorphing Kled. They're slowed. We're fine.
Warriors and River.
They're dead.
Back.
Oh, okay, just
they're fine. Oh, Ryu, he gets the kill. A double kill onto Ryu now. Now they're looking for Arrow. Ray's coming in. The flag and drag close. The ultimate's down and almost up if they can continue the long fight. A triple kill from Contracts. Looking for the quadra. A quadra kill. And Sneaky takes the last one to clean it up.
Match point for Cloud9 to move on to Vancouver Finals.